he came and wished me Happy Father's Day. And he said he was 60ish. He was about to retire. In his entire career at ABB, he worked there for 30 years. Saw hundreds of interns. That was the first time he wished an intern Happy Father's Day. so, and then I used to split water using these catalysts. I also used in fuel cell application like called oxygen reduction reaction, where you combine oxygen and hydrogen together to form water. So I wanted to build a catalyst which can do both, like dual, can split the water as well as combine the water, hydrogen and oxygen to get back water.
Hi everyone, I hope all of you are having a great day. Welcome to the 11th episode of Chakravyuha. And today we have with us a very experienced guest. I could say he's a senior pro in research, and that is Dr. Siddesh. So he has over 7 years of experience in different domains in polymer industry, in paint industry, and he has done his PhD from USA and currently is also working in USA. So I mean, the experience actually shows that when we are having the conversation, the clarity in his thoughts and the clarity in how he's approaching life is commendable. Apart from that, one of the most important things is that we all have ideas about opportunities for synthetic chemists, those who have done PhD in organic chemistry or those who have experience in organic chemistry. Dr. Siddesh has his PhD in a topic which we can say lies in the domain of physical chemistry, more or less lies in the domain of physical chemistry, or on the borderline of physical and a bit of inorganic chemistry. So a lot of you do not know about opportunities that are there for inorganic chemist or physical chemist, or you actually want to know what all are the opportunities in the industry, or apart from postdoc, what all other opportunities are available for students who have done PhD in inorganic and physical chemistry. So that is also something that we have spoken about. It was a very good time interacting with him, because it was not just a very boring or a mundane conversation. There were a lot of fun aspects to it, as you might have seen in the preview as well. All right. So without any further ado, let's dive into the
Thank
conversation.
you so much, Siddesh, for accepting this invitation. It means a lot to me, and personally, I think it will help our audience. Since you have a very rich experience in academics as well as in the field of in the industry as well, and particularly we have a lot of guests over who have done their PhDs in organic chemistry, and people are aware of opportunities in the field of organic chemistry, but unfortunately, a lot of folks are not aware about opportunities that are available in the industry, particularly from inorganic and physical chemistry perspective. So thank you very much for accepting the invitation. I would like to start off, if you can briefly tell us about your educational background and
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Aftab. Thanks for having me at the show. And then I really appreciate, and it's an honor that I can help people with similar mindset who wants to get some information. So I did my master's in inorganic chemistry from Bangalore University. It's one of the most prestigious universities and very old universities in India, with a NAC rate of 5. It was a very good experience, and I did a little bit of research as well during my master's. Before that, I was a summer research fellow in Indian Institute of Science during my bachelor's. That's where I got the flavor of what research is, and how the instrument looks, and the how the institute works. And I was introduced to a lot of PhD students during my bachelor's. That was one of the great opportunities that is currently available in India. IISc offers, Indian Academy of Sciences offers, and also Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, JNCSR in short. They offer a lot of good summer fellowships for bachelors or even for master's students. I suggest people take advantage, especially basic science students. I got the opportunity to work with one of the most eminent scientists of India, Professor CNR Rao. And in fact, during my bachelor's, you'll be surprised, I published a paper in Physical Review B, which has got almost 1,300 citations today. So this was one of the greatest opportunities I got. So people should take advantage of that. After my master's, I worked in Axo Nobel for 5 years, and then I decided to do PhD in USA. I did my PhD from Missouri University of Science and Technology. My PhD research was mostly nanoscience and its application in electrochemical sensors and energy conversion. It was a broader, a very broad subject that I chose for a lot of applications, and I got good publications too with that. Then currently I'm working now. That's my background in a nutshell.
That's quite a, I would say, accomplished background that I've heard of. So I would like to start from the foundations. So you mentioned that you got very good opportunities to do internship, and you did your internship, one of the internships under Professor CNR Rao. So many students are quite afraid about applying to these competitive internships, and like especially those who are from, let's say, not so well reputed universities, I must say. So is there something that you could maybe pitch in from your side, which might help them in boosting their chances of bagging an internship? And even before that, like when we were having this discussion, uh, like post recording this video, you mentioned that you come from our grassroots level and it was very difficult for you to find opportunities. So how did you connect, how did you find opportunities at that point of time?
First thing, have a mentor. Have a mentor
True.
who knows things. I had a mentor. Today I'm sitting here and speaking to you in USA, working in a very reputed company, is because I want to take this person's name, Dr. S. Anantaraju. He was the head of the department of the chemistry in Government Science College. That's where I did my bachelor's. A very normal, simple college, and not high-fi, and I like IITs. Um, I worked with him um, with a lot of metallurgical problems during my bachelor's. He was a PhD from IASC, and he knew CNR Rao, and he knew the summer fellowships available. So I would suggest anybody or everybody to have a mentor in life. That helps a lot. So with his grace, I would say, um, I got the opportunity. He gave me the reco letter. He gave me the basic foundation of what chemistry is. He taught me how a research problem is attacked, how to find research articles relevant to the problem that you're working. And then obviously you will find that research blend of mind inculcated into you when you are associated with such eminent people, right? He's a retired professor today, but I speak to him regularly. He's still my mentor. And then with him, I worked on a lot of projects. One industrial project, which was calculating the amount of iron content in the iron ore using electrochemistry, was one of his research projects that I worked on. From there, I started electrochemistry and solid state chemistry. So that's the first point. Second point, have good communication, very good communication, improve upon it. I come from Bangalore. We usually speak Kannada there. And then even although I was educated in English school, we usually speak Kannada or the mother tongue wherever we interact with our friends, because that's easy, right? And so I don't blame it, but the word is running on English. And take a newspaper, start reading articles, improve the amount of vocabulary you have in your query. And then thirdly, don't be afraid to ask help to people, right? We have networking sites like LinkedIn. You should not directly ask, I need help. And you need to
Yeah.
communicate. You need to
True.
understand a person before asking for an opportunity. You need to show them who you are. You cannot go to some random person and ask for a job opportunity, or can you tell me this? Nobody will
Hmm.
encourage,
That's very
right?
true.
You
Yeah.
need to build that trust and relationship. You need to put in effort to have that connection so that the person responds. I get a lot of requests on LinkedIn asking for opportunities and such, but I cannot encourage everybody. I don't have time, right? I can only do when a person is genuine, and then he can come, or he or she can come, tell their background, their interest. They have to multiple times they have to knock the door before a person opens the door, because it's such a big word. You cannot help everybody. And once a person, I get to know if a person is genuine and really interested, I go an extra mile to help them. These are the three things and basic things that any person to understand. don't be fearful, just everybody's human being, right? Everybody has taken help from somebody to reach this level.
Yes.
Ask anybody, they take help. I have taken help. I do help and I've taken help. Even today I take help. I don't know everything, right? I speak to people. I speak to my vice president, speak to my director if I don't know some things. But you have to do the big basic homework before you approach these big people.
That's very valuable advice, and rightly so put it in a very, lucid manner. So I think that would be definitely very helpful for a lot of aspirants and students. Secondly, just a brief discussion about how it was working with Professor CNR Rao, because he's quite a celebrity in our, in scientific field. So just maybe.
Definitely, definitely. Even we need to have great reverence to just take his name. He's such an awesome person. Um, I am so fortunate, at least as a summer student, at least to see Professor CNR Rao. Um, Although I did not work directly in his lab, I was working with Professor A. Sundareshan's lab, but he has collaboration with Professor CNR Rao. So he is a very dynamic person, and then he used to very, very prompt, extremely hardworking. I've seen him work. The way he walks is so fast. His students will be running behind him because he's got so much work to do. So he will give ideas while just walking to his PhD students. So that's how he used to work. And I took a photograph with him. I was a third year bachelor student, and it was the last day of my summer fellowship. And he usually leaves the center at around 5:30. I was waiting on the path he goes, and I requested him, can I take a picture of him along with me? And he graciously accepted it. And he asked me to do well in science, and those words mattered me a lot. I wrote an article, and I think it's on my LinkedIn profile as well, how it was to work with CNR Rao. So if people are interested, they can check that article. Um, it's really an honor to at least to see and work with him. I used to have a photograph of him in my wallet. People keep Ganesha or any other god photograph, but I used to keep his photograph and APJ Abdul Kalam's photograph. That's how people has to get inspired. Um, we have not seen God, but we can see God in these great people who have contributed.
True, true. So moving on, Siddesh, just wanted to understand. There's one doubt among students, especially after they complete their masters in basic sciences, whether to move to industry or to move for a PhD. And I see that after, like, even though you had a lot of research experience, right from bachelor's and then in masters, is there any particular reason why you thought of working in the industry first before moving for a PhD?
Yeah. So there are a couple of things here. One thing is you need to have the clarity to do research because it's a lengthy process. Getting a PhD is not quite easy. It's not everybody cup of tea because you need to face the failure. You need to um, work for an underpaid job kind of thing for 5 years, and finally you don't know where you land up with. There is uncertainty in PhD, wherever it is. It's in US or India. But when you have the clarity that you need to get that PhD done, either you choose academia or industry. If you have the clarity, that helps a lot. The reason I took break from my masters is both personal. One thing, I don't want to go into that. And second thing is I wanted a PhD from USA, so I waited until I got the opportunity to do it. I had clarity in mind that I want a PhD from US. Um, so I started preparing for that, GRE and TOEFL, and then I came into US. And during my PhD as well, I was very damn sure that I need to go into industry side. Why I went to paint and coatings? That's the opportunity and that I got to work with. Nobody dreams to go to a paint industry. People might
True.
dream to go to the pharma industry. So if you
Mm.
ask any paint chemist, did you dream of going to a paint industry? Nobody does. It's the opportunity. And then I fell in love with paint. Um, we can speak about it in your next few more questions. But yeah, basically to answer your question, you need to have the clarity in mind whether to do PhD or not. Even if you're 99.9% sure that you want to do PhD, don't do it. That 0.1% might ruin because the failure you have to accept it. A lot of experiments. You can ask any PhD student how much failure they face, and also there's you need to connect with your guide, advisor. Those things are all does matter a lot. So, but ultimately, when you come out of the tunnel on the other side, the light is bright if you have the clarity.
Right. Okay. So, like you just mentioned that you had a clarity of doing a PhD from USA. Any particular reason not or looking for opportunities in Europe? Because as far as I know, in Europe, you don't even have to, have a TOEFL or a GRE. You could directly apply for PhDs.
Yeah, that's one thing that took me off guard and put me off is because there is no structure in admission in Europe. It's quite random. You need to have connections, and then you need to approach. Sometimes you need to have your own funding. But U.S. university is quite structured. So you write your GRE, you write your TOEFL, you apply, and then you go through a process. If you know the advisor, that's well and good. So that's one thing that I did not like about Europe because it's so randomized until and unless you have some connection. Um, I tried applying to Europe in Ireland and Poland, but it did not pan out properly, and I did not like the selection process, basically. So that's why I always had a dream to do US PhD. It requires US PhDs indeed carries quite a weightage. Of course, any PhD does, but if you do in US, the opportunities are more.
Right. Right. So, coming back to after your master's, so you worked at AkzoNobel for approximately 4 years, if I'm not wrong. And how did you get this opportunity, and how was it like working in an paint industry?
So I got the opportunity through a friend. He was my master's batchmate. He started working at AkzoNobel, and I was actually searching for a job. You know how it's difficult to find a job in India, right? So I did not want to go to pharma because I did not have the background. I was not interested to. I was a material scientist. I did want to go in materials science realm. Um, and then I was actually teaching in a coaching center before I got that opportunity, and then met him, and he said there was an opportunity there. It was quite intriguing because, as I said, I wanted to do something in material science, and polymer is a part of materials. So I wanted to bring in some nanoscience and polymer blend if possible. And then when I got opportunity to work at AkzoNobel. AkzoNobel is when I was working at AkzoNobel was the biggest paint and coatings company in the world. It's a Dutch-based company. It was worth probably $18 billion when I was working there, and I got the opportunity in automotive and aerospace coatings. So a little snippet on what coatings are. So imagine a thin film of probably 3 to 10 microns will protect any surface for a very long time and also giving a beautification, you know. So
Protection
that's
in terms of corrosion, right?
yeah, corrosion. That's one of the many issues is corrosion, right? And then it also gives the aesthetic look that you're looking for. It can take house paints as well, exterior paint. It has got an 3 to 8 microns, 10-micron film, and also it protects your home from sunlight, uh, rain, dust. Um, and also for a very long time, 5 to 7 years. Even automotive coatings, you buy a car, a new car, people like color, and then that is protected. by sun rays. So UV rays, it's extremely harsh. And the pollution. And even after 10 years, your car looks new if you take care of it. So that's the beauty of coatings. And take any surface for that matter, it's actually coated. Your cell phone, laptops, all the electronics, anything, it's coated. It's a huge field, by the way. I actually, when I started, I did not, as I said, no one dreams to be a paint chemist. Once you start, you fell in love with that. And it's actually very challenging. It's just say paint, but it's an ocean. The thin film is an ocean.
True, true. Yeah. I think that's true for almost everything. I mean, once you get into the industry, you find that, you thought it's like a droplet, but it's like full. It's an
Yeah,
ocean. It's a massive ocean.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was talking about clarity, right? Here, I did not have clarity. It was pure luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes life throws opportunities at you, and it kind of works out well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, anything that you can like recall from your experience, any particular pro and a very very some advantages and disadvantages that you, not disadvantages per se, but something that you didn't like about the industry as such.
Did not like about the industry. Industry is I'm a very small person to speak about an industry. First thing. Um,
In your
um,
experience.
yeah, of course. It's it's a very tough question to answer because it depends on person to person. It's subjective, and then it's how you build your relation. Networking is critical in an industry. Subject matter is one thing. People management is a separate thing wherever you go. And industry is quite, if you're managing, if you're a manager and having 15, 20 people reporting to you, you need to be a good people manager. Subject matter does matter, but you can hire people who can think 10,000 times better than you, but they might not be a good people manager. So if you can be a good people manager in industry, you can survive for a very long time. And then if you don't want to be a manager, you can be a subject matter expert, and you can start contributing. You can become senior scientist, principal scientist, and even become a fellow of a company or an industry, and still keep contributing. Um, Obviously, wherever you go, things get politicized, no matter what, no which country, because we are all human beings and we all think alike. That ego and all those things will kick into picture. And what I suggest people is that know your place. If you are an associate, start with an associate. You're getting right.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
beyond.
Mm.
Learn stuff properly. Build your foundation perfectly so that it's strong, and then start speaking and then growing. Criticism is good, but it should be at the right time. If a person knows when to speak, how to speak, and where to speak, he can survive no matter academia or industry. So it's important to understand the culture of the industry before you can start contributing. That's very important. In India or America, where I've worked, I had very good relationships at AkzoNobel or Benjamin Moore, where I'm working right now. I'm in still touch with a lot of people. Even the director level, I'm in touch with at AkzoNobel and here as well. That is because I understood the culture of the company, I understood the people, and science is one thing. There are multiple projects keep coming, but when you understand the overall picture of what the company's culture is, what's the aim of the company is, then you can start contributing and also having a good relation, a good rapport with anybody, even director or an associate.
Right. Right. So when during your stint at AkzoNobel did you decide that yes, finally I should aggressively be applying for PhD opportunities to US? Was there a particular time frame when you kick started your applications?
You asked me, I'm a crazy person. So I, a little bit of my personal background when I was during my Axonobel stint, I got married and I had a kid. Um, and during that time, I told my wife that I want to do my PhD. I actually told her when I met her that I'm planning to do PhD, uh, but she thought I'm lying, but I was not. I
Okay.
told her, she thought I was crazy because she was conceived during that time. But yeah, um, I don't know why I decided that time. I took a big risk because I had a good job, a house, I was married, my friends and family were there, and I put a lot at stake to come to US. Um, Mine is one type of situation. um, I don't think anybody can go through that. So that was my personal background. I did not know why I did that, but my mind became so strong that I had to do PhD at that particular moment that I did not look back.
That
When you
might
are
be.
so strongly decided that you have to do it, I gave up everything. I gave up my job. I gave up my friends and family there. I started studying to GRE, TOEFL. I gave my exams. I got the opportunity here, and I came. I left everybody. Um, I think that's madness. Probably I went too far, but it's how I think happens. That's how happened to me. But mine is a
But
completely different case. Yeah.
but I think that was also one of the reasons that might have driven you to do your best at your PhD, because you have left so much behind. So there
Yep.
might be an added pressure to do really well in
Yep.
your PhD.
I put everything at stake, everything in the line of fire, and then I did PhD. So that may be another added advantage to me, that I took my PhD so seriously. I did not like, you have this horse, what do you call that? They covered
Yeah.
the eyes, right, blind, so
Right.
that
So
it
I
doesn't.
can just look in.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right. It doesn't get
it was
distracted.
so focused.
True.
So if anybody wants to do PhD so focused, have a wife and have a kid. I,
Damn, that is quite interesting, honestly. Yeah, I've heard people getting married during their PhDs, but never heard of someone having a kid and then going for a PhD. That is
Yeah, I
something that I'm
want
hearing
I,
for the
I
first
want to
time.
tell one more thing happened during my internship at ABB. I was doing PhD. It started in 15 and ended in 2019. In 18, I did a small internship in Connecticut. Here, it's ABB. ABB is another multinational company, Europe-based. They are into electrification and such, transformers and such. I was doing my internship there, and my reporting manager, it was a Father's Day, and then he came and wished me Happy Father's Day. And he said he was 60ish. He was about to retire. In his entire career at ABB, he worked there for 30 years. Saw hundreds of interns. That was the first time he wished an intern Happy Father's Day. so, so he saw that too. So yeah, that's quite unnatural. Very often you see, not often you see that this situation that I went
True.
through. Yeah.
Right. Uh, like I have a personal question, because I think that is relevant for someone who might be thinking in the same direction. If you can feel free to dodge it, is that how did you end up supporting your family when you were away, like in terms of, like, not just financially but emotionally and all the other aspects?
I owe a ton to my wife, my kid, my mother, my in-laws, and friends. Without their support, I would have not been here. Um, my success is minuscule compared to the sacrifices they have made. Um, I'm taking this opportunity to thank them, especially my wife and kid and my mother. My mother is a very strong lady. Um, I'm the only kid, so she's a teacher. Um, she was alone, and then she was so I'm not finding the right word. She's so strong that she wanted me to be successful. She did not care about anything else, and she agreed that I have to go to US to do my PhD. Um, I think her blessings are on me to be a successful person today. And my wife and kid have supported me a lot because I used to work late night, and she used to be alone at home. Um, I did not tell anything anybody to support me or anything, but my vision was so clear that I had to get what I get. I communicated that properly, so they knew what I wanted. Um, you take any person for that example, Sachin Tendulkar, right? Without his family support, he would have not been successful, right? His wife and kids have sacrificed so much for him. He used to be away like 200, 250 days, right, in a year. And it's basically my wife took care of my kid like a single parent because I was always in the lab. You know, right, how PhD student work, like it's 14, 15 hours a day. Um, yeah, but yeah, when you have clarity in mind and communicate with your family members, they usually agree, and you have to be respectful.
Yeah, true. Okay, changing the tangent a bit, coming to your PhD. So, can you briefly walk us through your PhD, like what your research topic was and what are its implications, immediate implications or future implications? Maybe from a perspective of someone who is in their MSc, so they might not understand the complex terminologies. So,
Sure.
as
Yeah,
simplified as you can.
yeah, I'll keep it rudimentary. Um, so my PhD was to make metal selenites or um, uh, metal selenites hybrid systems. Like, how do I explain the hybrid? Hybrid is something which is carbon mix. I used to take a carbon material, and I used to take a metal selenide or a telluride, and I to mix them in a particular ratio in situ. It can be electrochemical synthesis, or it can be hydrothermal synthesis. I used a variety of methods like CVD and such, and then I used to use them for a particular application. Say, for example, it can be water splitting, or it can be sensors. So basically, hydrogen is one of the most important fuels that has been considered as a lot of potential, but we have scarcity of hydrogen in on the Earth's atmosphere, although it's the abundantly available material in the space. So one of the ways to produce hydrogen is by splitting water for fuel cell application, right? So splitting water to hydrogen and oxygen requires a lot of energy. Doesn't make sense to spend so much energy to produce hydrogen. So that's why we make catalysts. So as to make those catalysts. So, usually metal oxides are used. So my project was to make with metal selenites and control its stability and also its longevity. So that's why I used carbons to improve their um, conductivity, like graphene, right? And then reduced graphene oxide, um, then carbon nanotubes. There are some of them that I have used. And then I used to split water using these catalysts. I also used in fuel cell application, like called oxygen reduction reaction, where you combine oxygen and hydrogen together to form water. So I wanted to build a catalyst which can do both, like dual, can split the water as well as combine the hydrogen and oxygen to get back water, which happens in the fuel cell. It's a complex reaction. It's a multi-process to bring both thermodynamics um, and kinetics into picture, um, and then use them in the fuel cell application. That's overall. And then I also used some of the materials catalysts that, since this is electrochemistry, you can use that for glucose detection or any other biological dopamine detection. Biological content detection can be done because it's an electron transfer. So that's basically that's what I did.
Okay, so it did it involve a lot of synthetic procedures as well,
Oh, yeah,
especially the
yeah,
catalyst, synthesizing the catalyst might have
yeah,
required a
yeah.
lot.
So the basically my major aim was to synthesize catalyst. Um, so I used a variety of techniques to synthesize catalyst. Synthesis and application. There are two things that I did completely. People majorly concentrate on synthesis part. Some of them, especially organic chemists, some of them take the synthesis and make it into an application. But my project was both synthesis and application.
Okay. And
Yeah.
did your PhD work also involve some sort of computational work? Because right now material sciences, a lot of computational tasks are also coming at the forefront. So
Yes. Yeah. So that can be done, but that might be a little complex. I did not have a solid math background. If you want to do a DFT calculation or ab initio calculation, that can be done, but you cannot be a master of everything. What I did was I collaborated with people who can do it. That depends on your advisor as well. So my advisor was pretty open for collaboration, and we had few collaborations with here national labs who can do those calculations for us. I knew one person. He was from Iran. He was a brilliant guy. So he learned DFT calculations from the scratch. He was both a material chemist, experimental chemist, as well as physical chemist. You can do computational studies. Uh, that's quite unnatural. Many people can't balance or juggle two balls at the same time, but that person did it. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not without possible. It is possible. You need to have that background. You need to take a little bit of math and basic physics, chemistry, physical chemistry, and physics courses to understand that computational part of it. But it can be done. Yeah. It depends on the interest. He was extremely interested in understanding both aspects, and he wanted to do both at the same time. But I was not so much excited to learn DFTs, but I took the help of people who can do it for me.
okay, all right. One question that I had for you is that when you decide to do a PhD and you are very enthusiastic. So the first 1 or 2 years you are quite, hungry to learn new things. But by the time you come to fourth year, when 4.5, and it's about the time you are going to submit your thesis, that's when these questions start floating in your head, that what now, like the PhD is getting over, do I do a postdoc, do I move to the industry, what are the opportunities available for me? So fortunately, if I talk about the Indian scenario, there are a lot of opportunities for organic chemists. Like if you've done your PhD in synthetic chemistry, more or less you don't have to worry a lot about getting a job. If not a postdoc, you'll definitely end up in a pharmaceutical industry, and get a job. So, what is the scope of someone who has done a PhD in electrochemistry or in organic chemistry or physical chemistry, in Europe? No, sorry, in US. And if you have some information about India as well, that what the future looks like for the material chemist or someone who has done a PhD in inorganic chemistry. And the second fragment to this question is that, since you already mentioned that you wanted to do a like you wanted to work in the industry, so I guess that is the reason why you did not opt for a postdoc. But apart from someone who, let's say, who joins PhD in material chemistry or in organic chemistry, what are the opportunities from an industrial point of view apart from postdoc?
Okay, so it's a very big question. So I'll tackle it as piecemeal. So first part, uh, I don't know what's the opportunities in India. I cannot comment on that because I don't know the scenario there. It's been 7 or 8 years that I visited India. I don't know what's happening there. Um, in US, there is opportunity for everybody in industry, irrespective of whether you are just a PhD or a postdoc. Even after postdoc, you can join in industry. That's the level of opportunity here. Mathematicians get it, physicists get it, physical chemists get it, organic chemists get it. Everybody has the opportunity, and they have to know where to look for. As I said, LinkedIn is an amazing place where you can network and then build your connection. I am an inorganic chemist, and right now working in a polymer chemist company. Right, we develop polymers, we make it paint, and then sell it. So it's nowhere connection. Electrochemistry and making paint, two fields, two poles apart. Um, but I think it depends um, on the country, I would say, and also the company uh, that has to offer. Um, for inorganic chemists and physical chemists, there's a lot of opportunity in US as it's an innovation hub, I would say, compared to any other country. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of R&Ds, and a lot of um, open-minded people who can accept people with different background. That's the level of opportunity you get here. For example, I can say Intel has such a huge manufacturing locations here that Intel offers a lot of um, jobs for people with different background. Semiconductor industry as a whole has that has a very open mindset to accept people from different backgrounds. That's how it works in US. Partly because they want people with different background to bring in new ideas. I can see a problem with a different angle from an organic chemist. That's valuable,
True.
right?
Hmm.
Um, so that's one thing. Second thing is although I was not an organic chemist or a polymer chemist by training, the companies offer the training phase at least for an year. You go to any industry, no, irrespective, even if you are a pro in that particular field, there is a small training period because you need to get adjusted to that company's culture, way of working. I don't know how it works in India, right? Even if I'm a different background, if you have that training phase for a year or so, then people get adjusted and start contributing. If they can bring that, if they don't have it, if they can bring it, that would be a really nice platform for any person to start. So I underwent a training process for a year just to understand what's happening. I cannot contribute the first year. It's all gravy, nothing solid, right? Whatever I speak, they knew it already,
Right.
right? Because it's like you're a small baby in the industry. They're giants working there. So that's how US onboarding process of a new hire is. You go to Intel, you get hired in Intel, they have a training process for 6 to 8 months. That's intense training process. And then you start contributing. Take any field for that matter. Um, Thirdly, even in pharma industry in US, an inorganic chemistry can be hired, but not in the synthesis department. It can be hired in any other departments. You can start contributing there, material characterization. Or if you are really, really interested, once you get into the company, you can express your desire to change the field, change the department. That's open in US. I changed my department from a pigment dispersion team to the exterior coating team very recently. That's possible, but you need to express your desire and your ambition that you need to work there, and you need to show them that you have the background. I think that works in India too. Once you have that intensity of urge to contribute and work in a particular department, and you do the background, and you can switch. Even though if you don't have a background, you can do a correspondence course. We have LinkedIn, Coursera. There are thousands, Khan Academy. There are thousands of online courses and certificates that you can get. You can do a basic course and then start. Today, if I want to do an pharma company, if I want to switch, I can get into a pharma company, and then I can take courses online and then switch the department within the company. Once you know them, once they know you, that you can contribute in a company, then you can switch department is pretty easy. And what was your second part of the question? I forgot.
Uh, okay. Like I think you pretty much addressed the questions, but the
Okay.
other second, the second part was mostly okay. Since you mentioned that you're not really aware of the opportunities in India, particularly from a core material chemistry perspective, but maybe if you had some interactions with your colleagues, with your friends, and you know about what the future might hold for someone who does a PhD in material chemistry, because unfortunately I have interacted with my friends, juniors, seniors. In India, when you do a PhD in material chemistry, more or less they do go for a postdoc. It's very difficult to find opportunities in core material chemistry, or in companies which are dealing with, let's say, now Ola Electric is sort of started hiring a lot of people who have done their PhD in physical chemistry, but apart from that there are not many opportunities. So either they end up in a scientific writing company, and then they look for opportunities for postdoc, and then they get a postdoc, and then once they get a postdoc, let's say in US, then they get hired in the companies like you mentioned in the US itself. But what do you think is the scenario of core material chemistry jobs from an Indian perspective, if you have some idea?
I cannot comment on that. I have no background on that. I'm sorry.
Okay. And what about US? So like, it's just a follow-up question to what you mentioned, that your PhD was like in the domain that you did your PhD, that, and right now where you're working at, it's very different, right? So was there any desire from your side that you do want to end up working in a similar domain in which you did your PhD?
It depends on the opportunity. See, as an immigrant, it's very tough to find a job in US because there are multiple things coming into picture. You need to defend your thesis, you need to apply for your OPT card, you need to find a job. It's a complex process that only a person who is here can understand. I don't want to go into greater detail because you can do a separate 1 hour session on that. Um, uh, but but overall, when you have a connection and you know people, people do start doing. A couple of my friends who did PhD in batteries got hired into a startup, a battery startup. There's 10,000 companies who are working on batteries here. So you do get opportunities here, and it also depends, what you want. You want money, you want another career because you are already strived of money during your PhD because you'll be living out of stipend, and you again go to a startup who doesn't pay you properly. That's kind of I didn't want to do that because my situation was slightly different. So that's why I wanted to go into an accomplished company with a broader mindset and can accept me. Um, Overall, yeah, it depends on a person. I cannot comment on everybody. It depends on a person, but I don't know how it is in India. But if they get opportunity in US, definitely they can pursue whatever they want.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite insightful. Any particular thing that you noticed, like things like there are students who directly do their PhD right after their MSc, either from abroad or from India. So, what are some skills that you might suggest them to acquire before, coming to the industry, which you do not really pay attention to in academia? I think people management is one skill that that academicians lack. Apart from that, if there is anything else that you want to stress on.
Communication. First thing, be good at speaking. Know when to speak, where to speak, and how to speak. First thing. Written skills, extremely important. As important as speaking. So for people, one simple suggestion: there is one course from Cornell University. I think that's an open course that they can take for writing. I took that course, very insightful. I think they split it into 18 weeks. They give tasks each week, and you have to just perform that. It will improve your writing skills. Second thing, obviously, people management. That when you come from academia, you don't know how to speak to people, how to manage people, but there is a training in industry for that as well. Um, and then try to know the culture, because when you are doing your PhD, you'll be in your own bubble. You'll not know what others are doing, and you have aversion towards your peer, right? You don't
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
him, she doesn't like him. Happens everywhere. I had it. So, but in company, it doesn't work like that. You need to work as a team, because in PhD you get an individual project, but in academia and in industry, you there's a complex project and 15 people will be working on the same project. And if you are not comfortable working with your peer, then it's quite difficult. You cannot survive for long. You need to accept failures. You need to um, show your capabilities, and ego should not come into picture from my side. When you're working in a team, you're collaborative. Every single idea, every single contribution matters. A small contribution as well. That's equal for all 15 people who are working in that team. Of course, there will be one person managing all 15 people, leading the team, but you will be recognized somehow or the other. But when ego come into picture, you cannot contribute. That's one thing that I saw a big difference from working in academia as a PhD student alone and with working in an industry. Um, Good thing, have fun. So I know research is daunting. If you don't have fun, then life becomes very terrible and miserable. Need to have fun, you need to have people around you. So
What were
I had
your ways to have fun during your PhD?
have beer at the end of the day. So yeah, you need to go out, make some friends, share with them both personal and professional things, and then you discuss on them. Many of my ideas came up when I was speaking to people. You sit alone and think, but ideas rarely pop up for me. And when I'm speaking with a person, I just like it comes
I think
instantaneously.
that just happens in movies where you're sitting beside a lake and then suddenly an idea pops up.
Yeah. So you do think I do write things. Okay, these are the things that I need to do, and yeah, I could do that way. But any new idea, if I want, that comes while having a conversation. So it's very important to have good friends, mentors, and have fun. Go out. Don't overburden yourself. That's my take. Have spent some time. You need to have balance in life. It's difficult, or else it's a mind gets too much task, and it gives up.
So, like in your opinion, like if someone does a PhD, irrespective of what background it is from US, they might not get the exact opportunity they might be looking for, but they will get an opportunity irrespective of what field they are in.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. If I got an opportunity to work in an electrochemical company, as I said, was a startup. It depends on the person what they want in life. I wanted to settle down, basically, because I had a family and such. They went through a lot. Um,
You've
Depends
troubled
on
them
us.
enough.
Trouble them enough. I couldn't. Again, you go to startup, and again, I cannot keep bothering them without. So yeah, I wanted a good, accomplished company, and Benjamin Moore was extremely um, a very accomplished, very reputed company in US. So I got the opportunity, and it's a pretty quite good company, and they've taken good care of me. They also sponsored my green card, so it's a big money to sponsor the green card because of lawyers and such. So the companies do it here. Yeah.
Okay. So the future looks like you're going to be settling in US.
Yeah, I already got my green card.
Okay, that's awesome. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, and where exactly are you working? You're working at, is it New York?
Yes, I'm 30 miles away from New York City.
Okay, okay,
It's in
okay.
New Jersey. I'm in northern part of New Jersey.
Right, right, right. Okay, and in terms of, I just wanted your perspective. What do you think is the future of battery sciences? Like what from what I have, not like the kind of knowledge I have is, pretty much for a long time we were, dependent on lithium ion batteries. There was nothing big breakthrough that came for years. And what do you think is the future of battery sciences? Where does it look like it's going?
I am not an expert to comment on that, but I would definitely say it has got a tremendous potential with the way the industry is moving, with the way the world is moving. Batteries might be the new crude oil. Um, as far as my limited knowledge is concerned, there are sodium ion batteries, solid state batteries, which are coming up, magnesium ion batteries coming up. So lithium might not be a long-term solution because of the scarcity of the material itself. and also the complexity to which a battery is made, and also the fire hazard which it creates. I would definitely pitch in for solid state batteries because it has got more power density. You can long range for the cars, and then it is more safer compared to lithium ion batteries. I would definitely say that there are hundreds of companies working here, big companies like Tesla, Panasonic, Samsung. There are few A123 systems. So many of them working on new battery technology. Toyota, Honda, they have big companies here. Even Ford, they're all like in Michigan, Detroit. They have R&D facility there. Um, so many new technology coming up, new material, new way of thinking. They have they used to use graphite anodes. Now they are shifting to silicon anodes. So there are so many companies working on different ways to approach this problem. Definitely, it's going to stay for very long. It would be really good if we can switch everything to battery technology to run the automobile, because it will be sustainable. That is one thing that every company looks for, to have a sustainable future, because we have only one planet, nowhere to go. Although Tesla's CEO Elon Musk is wanting to colonize Mars, I don't know to what extent it will be successful. I have a counter idea to keep our planet happy and peaceful rather than colonizing Mars. That's a bigger task. So he has some
Exactly,
crazy
exactly.
ideas.
Because even with the like the solid state batteries, waste disposal remains a problem. Like how you're gonna be recycling.
Exactly. Yeah, the
Yeah,
recycling of batteries is also a big field by itself. Many people are working on recycling the batteries. Recycling anything is a big problem. It's a human waste. Uh, we create, but we don't know how to utilize it. We don't know how to.
right. So I think Siddesh, it was a very insightful discussion. Thank you for giving us your valuable time. I think I have in particular learned a lot, and I'm sure it would be quite helpful for the audience because a lot of them have a lot of insecurities which you have tried, which you have like rightly addressed with all honesty. So thanks one again for having joining the platform and sharing your um, research, your ideas, your professional and bit of personal life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aftab. And that I shared my 2 cents of knowledge, what I have. People can contact me on LinkedIn if they are really interested. Um, I can um, share my experience or advise them with opportunities with I know that I'm aware of on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm happy to connect.
Right. In fact, most of the things that we have discussed, I'll try to link it up in the description so anyone of you who's interested can definitely connect with them.
Sure, definitely. Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.